Should we be really surprised? Should we really be even surprised with how this game went down for my San Francisco 49ers? And for all the faithful out there, like, really? Should we really be that surprised that they took the L? They took the loss to the Seattle Seahawks in this Week 11 matchup? Like, I don't know. Like, that's like I'm not. I don't know if I should be that mad or that upset because this has happened before. This literally happened before. Early in the season, and then just literally 2 weeks after, with the 49ers. Yeah, this literally happened like 3 times within the division, and I also believe it happened like before that. No, actually, correction. It's happened 2 times before this loss this past Sunday. So this is a common occurrence. This has been a common occurrence, not just this season, but years past with Kyle Shanahan's 49ers. So honestly, with how things went down for my San Francisco 49ers, losing this game 20-17 in the fashion that they did to the Seattle Seahawks, yeah, this was not all that surprising to me. And it's deflating, sure, but honestly, not that surprising considering with how they've been playing this year and how they've been like kind of sucking the life in their quote unquote failure to finish the story back in February. So that's basically where I'm at with my 49ers. So yeah, they lost this game. They literally lost this game because of various reasons. Various reasons we're going to get into. But the main culprits has to center around coaching, defense, and all that good stuff, which we'll get more in detail of. But this is not exactly the loss that you need going into a 2-game road trip. Again, part of this major, most important stretch of the year for San Francisco that essentially is going to put your season on the line. Like, essentially by taking this loss, well, your season is like on the deathbed right now. It's literally on the deathbed, on that life support system right now. 5-5 now, and you're going on the road in possibly elements in the northeast, and then you're going out to the east coast later on in 2 weeks, and this is the game that you need to have to stay not just within the division but in the playoff picture in general. By taking this loss, yeah, you're putting the Niners, in essence, are putting themselves on life support, like literal life support now. But yeah, let's talk about this game. Let's talk about this game between the Seahawks and the 49ers. Starting with the Seahawks side of things, you got to give some credit for the Seahawks, especially on the offensive side of things, mostly because they played pretty solidly in this game. Jackson Smith-Njigba was the big key for their passing offense being unlocked in this one. Sure, you had DK Metcalf returning in this game. He missed the last 2 with the knee injury, but the bye certainly helped in him coming back. But he didn't really do all that much in this game other than maybe like 1 or 2 key catches in this one. But his running mate, Jackson Smith-Njigba, who performed well in their last game against the Rams, even though they lost that game. But he did so here again against the 49ers, especially on the key downs in this one and in this last drive to win this game for the Seahawks. So it seems like he's finally coming along as that number 2 to DK Metcalf in the passing offense for Geno Smith. So that's something that they really needed in their passing game. Meanwhile, looking at the other side of things for their offense, I talked about this in my preview with the keys to victory. The running game. They really need to establish the running game because it's been very lacking for Seattle this whole season. They finally seemingly managed to do that here in this game. Kenneth Walker III, it was minimal again, but he had a couple of chunk runs. He also had a touchdown in this game. and those small but effective chunk runs, it made a key difference in helping Geno Smith set up the passing game in extending drives and setting up a touchdown that would keep the Seahawks alive in this one. So speaking of Geno Smith, he also came in the clutch with those 2 big runs on the last drive for Seattle to win the game. He had his offensive line it did pretty well to protect Geno and unlock some those running lanes for him to get some good clean grass for him to set up their drive. And then in the last one, he found a lot of open space, and then he got the touchdown to effectively win the game for the Seahawks 20-17. So, yeah, I mean, looking at from the Seahawks side of things, they got a key division win to stay alive in the NFC West, and also their defense also did a pretty good job shutting down Brock Purdy's many receiving options. Well, actually, not really many receiving options, but nonetheless, they shut down the passing game for the most part for Brock Purdy, and they got to him a little bit in this one. So for the Seahawks, they did, I'd say, very solid in this one. Meanwhile, for my San Francisco 49ers, when you look at how they did in this game, I'd see there's no inspiration. There's very little to no creativity. I mean, sure, when you look at the defense, I'd say it was pretty good for more than half of the game. They allowed 13 points up until the comeback, and they allowed a few big plays. But other than that, the San Francisco defense, they pretty much did again another number on Geno Smith and the Seahawks defense. They shut down the running game up until the point where Nick Bosa, he left the game because of the hip injury that had been bothering him, and he never came back. He was on the sideline, couldn't come back in, which sucked, and that pretty much opened the door for the Seahawks offense to go ham on them. That's pretty much no Nick Bosa. We can finally go ham on this on their defense, and that's pretty much the difference, which was unfortunate. Leonard Floyd was there, no difference, and then there's basically that front four. I alluded to this in my keys to victory. Without that Nick Bosa in that front four, there's basically no pressure in that 49ers defensive front. So it actually came true. The defense slowly but surely fell apart in this game for the 49ers. There's basically nothing. There's basically nothing with that defense. And if Nick Bosa is out for the next game, if he can't go, then they're even more screwed. Playing a somewhat better team, which we'll talk about towards the end of this video. And then looking at the offense, I mean, credit to Brock Purdy because he wasn't the reason that they lost. He was actually extending drives, both with his arm, with the very limited options that he has, despite, and with his legs, especially because that's pretty much all he could do with the little options that he has. So, Kyle Shanahan should be fortunate that him and Christian McCaffrey, him when I'm talking about Brock Purdy, they were extending drives with the rushing attack that is CMC and Brock Purdy. But other than that, the passing game has very little juice. There's absolutely nothing, especially when you had no George Kittle, who was not there in this game with the hamstring injury. And you could tell the absence was very heavily felt. If you thought the mid-range passing game was lessened now that there's no Brandon Ayuk for the year, man, it was almost non-existent because there's no George Kittle. There's no George Kittle out there. And even if you had, you still had Ricky Pearsall out there, and you had Deebo Samuel out there, but he was basically non-existent. He was like a ghost that couldn't be found. He was like Casper. He was basically the Casper, the hidden ghost. And he was nothing. He was nothing to Brock Purdy. And so basically the only option that Brock Purdy had was Juwan Jennings. And it was nice that he was extending drives with Juwan Jennings on third down. But outside of that, this offense had barely any spark to it. And that's also what's missing about this offense. they don't have a vertical threat anymore. There's no downfield threat for Brock Purdy anymore. And that's what sorely missed with Brandon Ayuk. There's just no one for Purdy to go to downfield. And even mid-range. I talked about it again. No mid-range threat. So it's basically short field stuff that the Seahawks were ready to clamp on. They're really ready to clamp on that shit. And yeah, we all know how these games have ended. We certainly know how these games have certainly ended. They just can't. They just love to. They just love to. What are they? The Clippers, the LA Clippers of the Bay Area. Is that what the 49ers are now? Are they last season's Golden State Warriors, where they just managed to choke every game away? But it's not surprising. Kyle Shanahan has done this numerous times before. And once again, had the lead in the fourth quarter. But again, has been the theme all year. He once again can't close the deal. Can't shut the door on the opposition. And he let the game slip away. He did this to the Rams. He did this against the Cardinals. 10-point lead. Now, granted, this was a 4-point lead, so it makes it even worse than that. And he let it slip away. He let it slip away. I didn't like the execution. The execution could have been better. I take that back. But the play calling was kind of suspect. Play action on second down. Now I get it. Brock Purdy could have thrown it a little lower. But play action on second down? Why? Christian McCaffrey, he could have ran it a little more. But I get maybe some people were thinking a little conservative. But still. Why are you calling those kind of plays? It's a failure. So, man, Kyle Shanahan, man. Like we like these kind of conversations are brought up because you can't close the damn game. Especially in crunch time. Like it's happened 3 times already. This is the 3rd time. Like these kind of losses and how they're lost too, it just shows how unserious Kyle Shanahan is. Like seriously. Blowing this kind of the division loss is just unacceptable. It's literally unacceptable, man. So yeah, the Niners dropped this one 20-17. They're 1-3 in the division now. They're they split the season series to Seattle in a game that they should have had. They literally should have had. Again, another game with so many missed opportunities, so many drives that they could have ended in either a field goal, touchdown, but no. Again, I get it. They're missing key people. But again, you got to rise up to the occasion. Step it up, pal. Who's going to have that ruthless aggression? But again, apparently, nobody did. Nobody had that ruthless aggression. And Kyle Shanahan happens to be one of those people that didn't have the grapefruits in this game and hasn't since February. So now, they got to go to Lambeau Field. They got to go to Lambeau Field for the start of a big 2-game road trip to try to save their season. Yes. How many times have I said save their season? All of this 2024 season for my San Francisco 49ers. But yeah, the Niners got to go and save their season at the start of this 2-game road trip. That's very big as they take on the Green Bay Packers and Jordan Love. The Pack, they had to hold on by the skin of their teeth of a blocked field goal to beat Caleb Williams in the Bears in their Week 11 matchup. So they're heading back home for the start of their own 2-game home stretch on a short week, mind you. They got to play the Niners and the Dolphins on Thanksgiving. So they're going to be on very short rest. But the Niners, they got it even harder because they're on the road on the Northeast. Green Bay's like kind of northeast, and then Buffalo's even longer. Yeah, they're going to Buffalo on the back end of that stretch. So yeah, but first up is Green Bay. They are beatable because Jordan Love tends to throw an interception each game, but they're also just as threatening. Like, look at that very young passing game. Honestly, when you look at things right now, where things stand with this 49ers team, with Kyle Shanahan and how they're blowing shit right now, your inner self might just want to say, look at this team right now. Do you want to see this Packers team smash this version of the Niners with how uninspired they're playing right now? Do ya? Do ya? Just a thought. Just thought before we get to talking about that Niner game and the Pack later on this week. Just think about it. Just think about it. But anyway, let me know your thoughts on this loss. This loss that, not surprising, but also didn't need to happen for the 49ers. In the comments below, we can hash it out, discuss it, rant about it in the comments. But until that game against Green Bay, yeah, this is Dylan Lasagna signing out. Keep the lasagna very cold in the fridge with your takes on the world of sports. The Niners are 5-5. Got to find a way to save the season somehow. But yeah, even then, still very disappointing. But until the next one, until I see you, when I see you, peace out.